Hello everyone, this is Benjamin. I'm starting today against Wilson. It's also a 1200 bot. So, alright, you start with the birds. I normally do the perk, and when I see anything different than E4, D4, I just continue my development the way I normally do. I don't see any reason for me to sway or variate. So, that's what I'm doing here. This is the normal setup. And then this pawn goes up. And, alright. That's a premature check. Sometimes in the opening, I play c6 without the check, just to have my knight come out here to help support this knight, and when I move my pawn up. So it kind of like goes together a little bit. So he's just basically helping me quicken my development, I guess. I can take for free. I'm just trying to think about my structure, because normally I have my pawn on e5 for the center, and right now it usually is supported by this pawn. So like if I take it here, but this pawn here would help prevent this here. So this with the support versus this here, I guess it's not that bad. I can take, and when my knight goes here, it will still be defending this pawn. So it's actually not that bad. So I'm gonna go ahead with it. It's a little off from what I'm used to in my patterns, but it's not horrible for me. So perfectly fine. My queen normally goes here, here, or here. I guess in this situation, I like to try to find out like 2 or 3 different placements for all my pieces in general. I don't learn my opening specifically move by move completely. That way when something seems a little different or off, I get to try to decide on what's best. That's the way I learn my openings. That's why I prefer to learn my openings. I know a lot of people like to learn specific book openings and just memorize lines and hope your opponent plays a certain way, but I like learning where my pieces go in my opening, the normal places, 2, 3 places, and why. Like for most of my pieces, like the knight either goes here or here usually in the opening. Queen usually goes here, here, or here. Bishop normally goes here. Knight normally goes here. It doesn't really vary very much for these two. My bishop usually stays here or goes here to attack. So it all really matters. And because of this here, I'm thinking my queen should go here. To defend it. I want to move my knight here, but my bishop hasn't had a chance to come out yet, and I don't know if how important that is at this moment. So because his extended out, if he brings his knight up, I'd probably rather trade it with my bishop because of him coming in more. Yeah, I think I would do that because I don't normally like dealing with the f pawn too much. So I don't know if I should move the bishop now because he can just push it back and then come down and then castle queenside maybe. So yeah, let's do the queen here first. Alright, so the e5 pawn can't go here because he can just capture. And if he goes down, my knight can move obviously. So it just feels a little confusing for me because of my setup isn't my setup. So this is where my understanding comes into play, which is what everyone needs to do when they have opening and it's not working out a certain way. You have to understand like exactly what's going on as best as you can. So, and the better you are, the more you can do that. So now, if he goes down, I can go here maybe, and I don't have to worry about this pawn pushing it. So I have a pretty decent outpost, so I'm not going to worry about it. His bishop can't come in, and I have my bishop who hasn't came out yet. So I should be fine. Excuse me. Alright. I'm thinking about, but he's still going to move his knight out the way, and it's not going to matter because his bishop is not pinned to the queen. That's the main thing about this move here, is it pins it to the queen. So I'm going to go castle. Okay, gotta close the door. Alright, so attacking this pawn, I can just take it. I don't see anything defending it, and no follow-up attack. The only thing he did is open this up for bishop, but his bishop can go right here, and it's not much of anything, so looks pretty safe. So he's just dropping pawns right out the opening. So, oh, pawns and now piece. This is move 11. I remember when I was at 1200, I was trying to make sure that I don't blunder the first 20 moves. That was my thing, where I don't blunder a whole piece for no reason in the first 20 moves. I think it was around 1200 when I started doing that, and it really helped a lot. And it got to the point to where I do that, or I try to do it the whole entire game. I think trying to do it the whole entire game is frustrating, because you're gonna blunder if you're not used to playing very well and you're learning. So it's gonna happen. But practicing things like, I don't want to blunder the first 10 moves, depending on your rating. I don't want to blunder the first 20 moves, and try to play solid and simple and make sure that wherever you go. That's super important to do. So I'm just gonna take it. And anytime you do blunder and it's something that you never understood or learned, you can't be too hard on yourself. You can be like, well, I didn't know that yet, but I can look into it now. If it's something you can understand. Sometimes some blunders might be too difficult to understand why you did it, or why it is a blunder. And that's fine. It just means that it's maybe too advanced, and I wouldn't be too hard on it because you're still learning. That's kind of the whole point. You can't be mad at learning. You can be mad at giving up, because then now you're not going to get any better, but you can't be mad at learning. So here, I can just take it and he can develop his bishop, but I don't really see much follow-up with that. I kind of, I'm just going to develop my knight. I feel like I should be attacking right now because I have 3 pieces out and he only has 2, but his pawns are all like jacked up and really weird. I'm going to take it because this is going to take way more pawns. He has no pawns over here at all, so maybe I should move my rook over, move my knight somewhere, doesn't matter, and then I rook over. The reason why I said it doesn't really matter too much where my knight is because if it goes here, he can't go here or here. So like if I'm trying to advance my knight, this square gives me 2 options, and this square gives me only 1 option. The point of going here, if I was going to go here, would be because I'm trying to do something with the center, right here. I don't really care that much for what's going on in the center right here, because I just want to get my pieces out and just start bringing them in. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay. I guess we can continue trading, but the way we're going to trade will be different. I'm going to go into here to trade if he takes it. But he might be going like this just to bring his rook over too for my queen. And then if I go here and he does that, then what am I going to do? So this seems really simple and good. If he takes it, then I get to take it back. But he has other moves that are decent, so like this one right here. So I probably should just take it. Alright, he dropped a second piece. Yeah, definitely recognizing pieces being for free is super important in chess, because you're going to miss lots of opportunities if you don't realize when your opponent drops a piece. And if you're still dropping pieces, it's going to be difficult to increase your rating. So it's super important to make sure that you're not dropping pieces as you move. So, like me, I realized that if I go back here to defend, I can put my queen in trouble. I didn't even want to look into it too much. I'm like, they could be in trouble. I mean, I don't know if they could trap it or not. I wasn't interested in doing a lot of complicated lines because this is fairly straightforward and simple. So if we're super even, then I would consider a whole lot more. But for the sake of the video and for the target group being under 1,000, I'm not interested in complicating so much to where you don't understand what's going on. You're not going to learn if you don't understand what's going on. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So I think I'm moving over here. He can target with his bishop. My other knight can't support it, so that's good. I like it, it's fine. It's pretty out in the center. I can attack this right here for free. Not for free, but mess up his castle. Bring my rook in like I planned to attack. Just kind of. Alright, that's helped me even more. Not only is it a free piece, but it allows me to double my rooks. It's a battery. Excuse me. Queen right here will be targeting his rook and make it possible for my rooks to come in to just start harassing the king. So I'm going to start that going. Over here. Okay, so now if I go here right now, he will take it with the queen. And then if I take it with my queen, he'll take it with his king. And my attack wouldn't be very effective. What I have to do before I do that is move my rook back one and then move this one up, like shuffling my pieces a little bit. It's pretty simple to do once you get a hang of it a little bit. Now if I call it check, he moves over. Now if he takes with his queen, I can take with my rook and call it check. And then he'll have to come back, and then that will be mate. So check. Alright, that was a pretty good game. Alright. Alright, good. I'm glad I didn't make any mistakes or blunders. Let's see. It's a game review analysis that does all the weird stuff. I'm using my phone, not on the laptop, so I get confused on which one's which up here. So, okay, 2 inaccuracies. So, book F4 is the last book move, which simply means that my move was not a book move. Which is fine. I played well and I understood what I was doing, which is way more important than finding your best move. Which is another thing people get caught up on when I'm doing like games in class and when I'm discussing things with people and even people on their own time. They're like, I want to know what the best move is in each situation. And it's like, well, you only can remember so many best moves, like in openings and other situations. And then after you learn them, you can learn more and you can learn more and you can learn more, and that's fine. But if you don't understand what you're doing and you're learning best moves while not understanding what you're doing, it's not going to help you. Like you need to understand why you're doing what you're doing way more than like me. I was comfortable in my position even after the little weird stuff that I've seen, because I understood what I was doing, even though the accuracy wasn't super high. It wasn't over 90%, which is fine. So now I have my queen over here. Knight to b7 is better. Okay, I considered it. I did consider it, but it's not by a huge margin. Alright. Okay. See this right here, I wouldn't, the reason I didn't consider that, even though it's best move instead of castling, even though it does attack the queen, I normally don't like my bishop on the square near this pawn like this. I usually don't like it. I find it like, it usually is attacked by something like a knight can go here obviously right now, and if this knight was developed or if somehow these pawns can be pushed, it just, to me it's really uncomfortable because it has nowhere to go besides back usually, and if it's captured then my pawn structure is pretty jacked up. So I usually don't look into moves like that. I should probably consider it sometimes. I mean, I probably would consider it more in a very serious game, but because here's the game, it's like there's not many options of what to do, and you're trying to figure out what is best. So hero is pretty straightforward. Okay, knight taking is best. Well, knight taking would attack the queen, but I didn't want to keep my pawns doubled, so all right. I like this little explanations. I didn't realize I was at a 10-point advantage by now. I mean, I'm +5 in material, but apparently the position is super bad for him on top of that. Like, I know it kind of was already because of space and all that, but well, that's cool. That was best. I had my reason for it. I wasn't expecting it to be best. I was expecting something else, but like this move being just because that's what I normally see. All right. That's a huge difference. 27.5 and 15.6, and this is still considered excellent. That's over a 10-point difference. I don't see how that I would say that's a blunder. I don't understand at all why that much of a difference would be excellent or best. Mate 9, mate 8, mate 7. Okay, so I did see the mate properly. Alright. No, I didn't see mate 9, but I didn't. He probably has a whole bunch of defenses that I didn't realize, but okay. So I need to learn checkmate, which bishop moves, maybe bishop moves. I can maybe see a little better, maybe. So I don't see why I'll need lessons on something that I learned how to do, and I obviously showed that I learned how to do it. It's kind of weird to suggest as lessons. Mate in 3, which I kind of. Alright. Well, it's a good game. I hope you guys enjoyed it really a lot. I think chess for the most part is extremely straightforward and simple, especially around close to 100 and under. You just basically I'm pretty sure it's difficult to do because you have to like really pay attention and concentrate when you're not used to it, but just basically paying attention to your pieces and making sure you're not losing them for free, and just making sure that when your opponent does, you take them and have some chess knowledge like development and where to place your pieces for attacking and so forth, and your pawn structures and all that stuff. So I think the combination of the two would get you pretty well. I'm trying to figure out what to do myself where I'm at. I keep going back and forth to like 1450 to 1550, but I'll figure out what I need to do to get past 1450. But for now, I'm just basically trying to help you guys out, work out getting above 1,000. So, alright. Thank you for your time. And if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do so, and share videos with your friends if they're new, and ask questions. You can ask questions on the video if you want to. You can ask me to make a specific video, like, hey, I'm interested in this, how will you explain it? Especially if it's too difficult for like the other, there's a lot of videos from masters and other people who explain videos, and sometimes they'll tell you what the best move is and what the theory is, but there's not much of why, and I might not know all the ins and outs of the why, but I can come up with pretty good reasons to understand things to the point to where if your opponent makes different moves, you kind of have a good idea of what to do. And that's what I did with the perk. I understand it really well, and I kind of know the whys of some of the stuff, and even though he didn't make the traditional moves, I was able to conform it to a play that I was comfortable with just because I understood lots of whys that I understand, and my whys probably weren't as great as someone else's who's a lot higher than me, but it's better than not having any idea of why. So if you want any of those types, let me know as well, and I'll be glad to do that process with you. And in fact, I might even learn more myself trying to do that. Sometimes I find that if people ask me questions, sometimes those questions lead to me trying to figure it out to share it. So, and that's really good. So, all right. Thank you for your time. Enjoy.